Prom night, a night of glitz, laughter, slow dances, and unforgettable memories. For most, it's the highlight of high school, a perfect end to 4 long years. But not everyone gets their fairy tale ending. For some, prom night becomes the beginning of a nightmare. These are not urban legends. These are real stories, shared by real people, who will never look at prom the same way again. Tonight, we bring you 3 unsettling true prom night horror stories. Disturbing events that turn corsages into clues, limos into hearses, and slow songs into screams. Story 1. The Girl Who Vanished After the Dance. It was 2014, in a quiet suburban town in Ohio. The kind of place where nothing truly bad ever happens, until it does. Sarah Whitmore was a bright, well-liked 17-year-old senior. She had spent weeks preparing for prom, shopping for the perfect dress, planning photos with friends, and coordinating the night down to the minute. It was supposed to be the best night of her life. And for the most part, it was. She danced, laughed, took pictures, and even kissed her crush under the disco lights. Everything seemed perfect, until the night ended. Fade to a dark road lit only by distant headlights. The music grows more tense. Around 11:45 p.m., Sarah told her friends she was going to step outside to call her mom for a ride. The venue's parking lot was half full, dimly lit, and surrounded by woods. She stepped out in her shimmering blue dress, and was never seen again. At first, her friends thought she had simply gone home early. But when her mother called her phone and it went straight to voicemail, panic set in. The next morning, a full-scale search was launched. Hundreds of volunteers combed through the woods. Drones flew over the area. Local lakes were dragged. But there was no trace of Sarah, no phone, no purse, no footprints. Nothing. Zoom on a single lost shoe found near the woods. Only one thing was ever found, one of her shoes, discovered near a dirt trail that led away from the parking lot. No signs of struggle. No witnesses. No cameras. Brief silence. Then soft, whispery ambient sound resumes. The town was in shock. For weeks, the community held vigils, lit candles, and plastered her face on missing person posters. But the leads dried up. People moved on. Her disappearance became a ghost story, something whispered among new students and passed around like folklore. But here's the most disturbing part. Static glitch effect, then a still frame of an old social media post. 3 years later, Sarah's prom photo was reposted on an anonymous Reddit thread titled, "People Who Vanished, but Might Still Be Watching." Her smiling face, edited to look like it was crying blood. The original post was deleted within minutes. The user was never identified. And her family never got answers. To this day, no one knows what happened to Sarah Whitmore after she stepped into the night. But if you ever attend a prom near the woods in Ohio, some say you might still hear footsteps behind you. Slow. Deliberate. Following you into the dark. Story 2, The Creeper in the Tuxedo. In 2009, at a high school in Southern California, prom night was in full swing. The theme was a night under the stars, and the gymnasium was transformed into a sea of lights and glitter. Everyone was dressed to impress. Laughter echoed over the music, camera flashes popped like fireflies, and the dance floor was packed. But somewhere in the crowd, someone didn't belong. Cut to surveillance-style footage. Zoom on a shadowy figure near the punch table. Students remembered him only as the guy in the red bow tie. No one knew his name. No one remembered seeing him in class. But he was dressed just like everyone else, black tuxedo, polished shoes, and that one strange detail, a bright red bow tie that looked like it didn't match anything else. He wasn't dancing. He wasn't laughing. He didn't talk to anyone. All he did was watch. Watch and record. Some students later recalled seeing him with an old handheld camcorder, something out of the early 2000s. He would stand in the corners, behind pillars, and sometimes right outside the women's restroom, just filming. At first, no one questioned him. It was prom night. People assumed he was a student from another school or someone's date. But things started to feel off when a group of girls noticed he had followed them outside to the parking lot after the dance. When they turned to confront him, he simply smiled, waved, and disappeared behind a row of cars. 2 days later, a USB drive was slipped under the school counselor's office door. No note. No name. Just hours of grainy footage. It contained clips of dozens of students, laughing, adjusting their dresses, slow dancing. But many of the shots were invasive. Filmed from under tables, behind lockers, even inside bathroom stalls. And at the end of the video, a chilling close-up of the counselor's own daughter, sleeping in her bed. Police were called immediately. They searched the footage frame by frame, zoomed in, ran facial recognition. But no match. The camcorder model was traced to an eBay sale, but the account used was fake. And then, just like that, the trail went cold. For years, students whispered about him, the creeper in the tuxedo. Some swore they'd seen him again, outside school dances or homecoming games. Always lurking. Always watching. Story 3, The Final Ride. Prom night is supposed to end with memories you'll cherish forever. But for a group of seniors from a small town in Pennsylvania, their final memory became a nightmare none of them could ever forget. It was the class of 2011. A group of 6 friends had rented a limousine to celebrate prom in style. 3 guys, 3 girls. They left the venue just after midnight, all smiles, still dressed in their formal wear, planning to stop at a diner for late-night milkshakes before heading home. But they never made it to that diner. The limo driver, an older man named Martin, had been working double shifts all week. Witnesses say he looked tired when he picked them up. But no one gave it much thought, until he took a wrong turn. Instead of heading into town, he veered off onto an old forest road known as Hollow Creek Pass, a road locals avoided after dark. The teens joked about it at first. They laughed, thinking it was some kind of spooky detour or prank. But the road kept getting narrower, the woods darker, and the signal on their phones completely gone. Then, the limo slowed to a stop. They thought the engine had stalled. But when they called out to the driver, there was no answer. Just silence. Martin was gone. The driver's door was wide open. No footprints. No noise. Just gone. Panic set in. One of the boys, Jake, got out to look around. He walked 20 feet down the road and screamed. The others ran to him, and what they saw would haunt them forever. Lying on the side of the road was Martin's driver cap and something else. Deep scratch marks on the pavement, as if something had been dragged. That's when they heard it. From the woods. A low, guttural growl. Not human, not quite animal. Just a sound that froze them where they stood. They ran back to the limo and locked the doors. Minutes passed. Then a thud. Then another. Something, or someone, was circling the vehicle. One of the girls started praying. Another began recording on her phone, whispering, "We're not alone out here." And then the rear window shattered. When police found the limo the next morning, it was abandoned in the middle of the road. Doors wide open. No blood, no footprints, no signs of a struggle. Except one. Inside the limo, etched into the broken glass of the rear window, were the words, "I only wanted one." 5 of the teens were eventually found wandering the forest hours later, dazed, barefoot, and unable to remember how they got there. They were hospitalized for days. But the 6th, Emily Rhodes, the one who had recorded everything, was never found. Her phone was recovered weeks later, miles from the road. Battery dead. Cracked screen. And on the camera roll, her final video. Just 13 seconds long. It shows her crying, hiding behind a tree, whispering, "It's watching me. It doesn't want me to leave." Then static. And silence. To this day, no one knows what happened on that road, or what took Emily Rhodes. But every year on prom night, someone leaves a white rose on the steps of Hollow Creek High, her favorite flower. No note. No witness. Just the rose, and the feeling that something out there is still waiting for another ride. Which story chilled you the most? Was it Sarah's mysterious vanishing? The silent stalker in the tuxedo? Or the final ride that ended in screams? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you love true horror stories like these, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps the channel more than you know. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a night full of nightmares.